Xbox Game Pass offers us so many interesting games that I often change my plans to try them out. I expected more from this game, but overall, it was a good experience. Rise of the Tomb Raider, it's a puzzle platformer game with a great adventure component. It tells the early life of Lara Croft as an explorer that talks a lot about her father's influence on the way she faces life and very strongly in how she views her mission in this game. To be honest, I think that this trend is too much exploited, leading to moments of pure and hard to explain stubbornness, something that could have been avoided. Even in Xbox One S, the game has stunning graphics, beautiful sceneries, and light effects that would probably be the best at the game's release date. It is noticeable when it is colder, although the effects on Lara are the same whether you are in a snow coat or in a top shirt, and the animals are very well designed, and only the opponents seem all alike. The only places where you can see less detail are old industrial areas when you are or when you are underwater. But this is me being very picky, just for the sake of the analysis. So much graphic details makes the puzzle solving even more interesting, since we always have new details if we look from a different perspective. Sounds do not dazzle me, but there is nothing really wrong about them. It is a competent game in that aspect, but nothing has caught my attention in a way that I can emphasize it here. Mechanically, it is very similar to the previous game on the franchise. It just fine tunes its formula. It starts with sickening amounts of cinematics and quick time events, so much that I thought about giving up in the early stages of the campaign, because not even half of the game was actually gameplay. Luckily, I kept on going and realized that those moments were diminishing to reasonable amounts during the game. Not as few as I'd like, but still to a level that did not spoil the immersion completely. The game is completely linear, there is no way to go around that, but overall, there is no problem in that. I just hope to have more options to approach the puzzles that, in general, were easy to solve, and even if after we use the scanning mechanics, we remain stuck in one, Laura begins to give subtle clues about how to do it. I liked the amount of different tools that we were given to help us solve the puzzles. Since we were not always using the same mechanics, it prevented boredom a lot. This game features far more moments of combat than the previous one. Those have nothing memorable to talk about. They are solid enough, but far from being a shooter. Now we can build explosives while we are fighting, and that's funny. And it is very easy to see when this crafting will help us, since we begin to see the necessary items scattered in abundance. Some sections are difficult to overcome, not so much because of the difficulty of the enemies, but because of their quantity. And although most of the time the easiest and most practical way to overcome them was by force, I always try to use stealth whenever possible. The skill tree that we have made Laura stronger, but the enemies do not evolve at the same pace, so gradually we start to become overpowered. The game has a number of secondary tombs to explore, which make us feel like Indiana Jones, as well as other side quests that we can take advantage of. Each new thumb unlocks a new skill in the skill tree. Unfortunately, and that's a shame, that all the treasures present in those tombs are always the same. The final part of the game was disappointing also. When I was supposed to face an immortal army that was decimating my enemies, these opponents proved to be the easiest to deal with throughout the entire game. And I do not want to get into big spoilers, but I also did not like how they managed the game ending, making it disappointing for me. In a nutshell, I had about 15 hours of a very entertaining campaign, very predictable and completely on rails campaign with very funny death animations, dazzling graphics and solid puzzles. All in all, it's a fair, acceptable game, but whose potential was not as well exploited as it could.